Yes, people, how are we all? Right. This is the funniest part of the year, let's be real. I love doing this. So, the first part of this video, this will be in two parts, I'd imagine, is going to be attacking players. So I'm going to focus on wingers, attacking players, and centre attacking midfield players in this video. I've got different categories. I've got realistic buys, ones I genuinely think we could get. I've got loan players, players we should get on loan. I've got wild cards, some random ones in there that might be difficult or random names you've probably never heard of. And I've got ambitious. I've got ones that are really out there. Small chance we could get, but ambitious. Those are the categories I'm going with. I've got a few names for each one. We'll go through them and I'll explain why. Let's get into it. Also, I have to explain, this is based on players I know. So I've watched, because of a little bit of work I did earlier on in the season, I've watched a lot of Dutch football and Belgian football. And I think there's good young players in there, and there's a good market in there to get cheap players from, which will drop to the Championship to then go to the Premier League. So there's a few names in there. Obviously, there's the usual. There's the Championship, the crop of the Championship, some good Premier League players, and some really good young academy players, especially from one certain academy, which is just down the road from where I live. You'll find, yeah. Let's get into it. As you guys can see, the first one, and probably the most obvious, Joel Pirro. For me, this could be the statement signing. A player who has proven in the Championship, as we can see down here. He's a striker, by the way, who can play either wing, but predominantly a striker. 43 appearances, 19 goals in the Championship this season. During the FA Cup. For me, he is a talent, and watched him a little bit. He's a talented player. He's really talented. He's, fifth top goal scorer in the Championship? Fourth, fifth top goal scorer in the Championship? Real good player. 23 years old. The problem with Joel Pirro is if a Premier League team want him. I think there's potential they could. He's a striker who scores goals. He's got a value of €8 million. You know, they might add an extra bit on that, given we'd be in the same league. But a team at Swansea, who've just lost the coach, I think if we're serious, this should be the number one target as a striker. The first name is Joel Pirro. I think he is what you need in this league to go up. And I think he's a guy who could transition to the Premier League. So Joel Pirro is the number one target in this sector. The second name I've gone with, and this one, as you can see, is Chuba Akpom. This one might be a bit more difficult than Joel Pirro because he's recently joined Middlesbrough at the end of his loan from there. And he scored 28 goals this season. Now, the thing with Middlesbrough, they just missed out in the playoffs, didn't they? Ignore the adverts. They just missed out in the playoffs. So there's the real building there, especially they've got Carrick, a young coach. But Chuba Akpom is the type of player, again, like Joel Pirro, different type of player, more of a poacher. Joel Pirro likes to drift a little bit and create chances. Akpom's a striker. He can come back, he can build play up, but he's predominantly a striker from what I've seen. Both very good players, and he scored 28 goals this season. Again, are we bullish? I think we have to be bullish. We're serious about... Let me get rid of this ad. Annoying me. If we're serious about, going back up, these are the type of players we have to look for. Looking at his value, where is it? About €7 million. Again, you'll probably look at a little higher than that. But again, if you go to a guy with a package and a vision, saying we want to go straight back into the Premier League, you're going to be our striker, it is doable for me. So that's the second one. Yeah, as you can see, the next one is a player called Ole Romene. So this guy plays for FC Emmen in the Dutch Eredivisie. A type of player, a centre forward, obviously 22 years old, young player. 11 goals in 33 appearances this season for a team, by the way, who's only scored 33 goals. So he's scored a third of their goals himself. He's the type of player that will run a lot. He's got full of energy. He's got decent technical ability in terms of dribbling, movement and all that stuff. Kind of at the ilk, you think of a fit and ready when Bamford was that type of player. Kind of that ilk, that type of striker. Not really one for hold-up play. one that is very quite direct, good positions. One that I've actually watched a little bit of, and I was actually quite impressed. I definitely think there's a step up for him. His team are currently I think they're in the playoffs to go down, which they do over there in Holland. So even if they stay up, I think a team in the Championship who is fighting to go to the Premier League could really give this guy the stool he needs to get higher. You know what I mean? Yeah, one I thought about, but I actually think could have value to Leeds. The value of 750k as well. You wouldn't be looking at that much for the player. This is the type of market I think we could get benefit from. You saw Burnley. They brought a few players in from Belgium and Holland, and sort of Millwall. Their striker Fleming was also from Holland, and he scored quite a lot of goals in that league last year. So it's definitely an area where these players will go to the Championship. You know, so this is one I'd actually like. I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't even know if he's on Leeds' radar. I have no idea. But this is one personally I think would be a good capture for Leeds. Even if he doesn't kick the ground running and start, you can get one of these other guys in who's worth more money and bring him in. Got some good options there. So they're my three strikers in terms of, realistic options. Now we'll get on to the loan players. Yep. I imagine a lot of you guys know who he is. Cameron Archer. Very good player. Very good young player. Again, went on loan, I believe halfway through the season, to Middlesbrough, but he's back at Villa now. 20 appearances, he got 11 goals and 6 assists. Very involved in the play. A striker that will move around and get involved in the build-up. The type of guy, I think, who will fit in, get rid of that advert, will fit into Leeds United, for me. On them guys as well, I think with Villa going into Europe, potentially there's room for him to go on loan and have a really good season in the Championship. I think he's had half season in the Championship, maybe one full season with a promotion push side in the Championship would really help him. And this is a guy I actually think we might go there. I think this could be one. If you can get a Perot in and maybe one of these guys on loan, I think that's real good options up top. So Cameron Archer is definitely one to keep an eye on, I think, in my opinion. So on to the wild cards. So these are guys that I've seen a bit of because of, some videos I watched early in the season with some work stuff. And some guys that I'm actually very impressed with. A wild card because I don't know their value. I don't know if they will take that step up. But I think they could be players that we could rely on. So for me, as you can see, this guy, Ueda, a Japanese international, plays in Belgian League again. Look at his goals this season: 34 games for Cercle Bruges, 18 goals and 1 assist. So what I get from when I watch this guy is Aguero vibes. Well, I'm not saying he's as good as Aguero. You know what I mean? He's a real player that will work in a system that keep the ball, I think. A system that even, you go through him through the play. You can go in behind, you can come to feet. Real good low center of gravity, good with his feet, and he hits the ball well. He hits the ball hard and low. Makes good connection on it, and I think he'd score a lot of goals in the Championship. Again, a bit of a wild one. See there his stats: 18 and 34, and then the playoffs 4 and 5. Bit of a wild one, but for me, could be something potentially. Maybe it's a bit too wild. Like I said, it's in the wild card section. But again, a player for me who's a type of player I would trust in the Championship to get us goals and actually build the play up, because he's a decent attacking player in terms of build-up play as well. So there's one right there. 24 years old as well, so at a good level, just about to get into his prime at the start. And again, this guy is in wildcard. Try to say that. Sydney Van Hoojdonk. Hoojdonk. I think it's Hoojdonk. Hoojdonk. So basically, this guy here has had a brilliant season for never say their name. Herenveen, right? In Holland. The type of player who is opposite to what we just saw. He is a big guy. He's a very big guy, as you can see. A big centre forward who can hold the ball up. But however, as you can see there, he can play out wide. He's got good feet and a good burst of pace for a big guy. He would dominate the Championship. I guess he's the type of a system player It depends what system we play, but again, he could be comfortable. He could be comfortable in a passing system, and he could also become comfortable in a longer ball system that relies on him to hold it up. This is one I like. He scored a lot of goals in his career, not just this season. Young guy, 23 years old, decent value at 3 million. Something that I think, again, with the structure of Leeds, if you provide the right vision, it's someone we could get in. And all these guys, by the way, you guys can have a look yourselves. They're all out there on the internet to have a look at. And the reason I didn't choose guys from the Bundesliga or the French league, one is, well, I watched the Bundesliga. It's a lot of it's on Sky Sports, but I just think the value of those players might be too high. If you look at these semi-leagues as in not as high as the top 3 or 4, but decent with good talent like Belgium and Holland, you get some real gems in there. And this guy, for me, is a decent player who could be one of them as well. But again, totally different to the other options. Now for ambitious. So these guys that will be difficult to get, but there's potential there. How good are we? How ambitious are we? And this is the first guy, Hugo. It's hard to say. Cypress. I'm sorry if I said these wrong. Cypress. No. Yeah, that guy. Him. Apologise to say his name wrong. Someone let me know if they know how to say it. If they're from Belgium, let me know. But anyway, this guy, Cypress, 33 appearances this season in the Belgian league, 20 goals, 4 assists. Again, he's been playing in the Europa stuff as well with his club. Yeah, look at the goals. He scores goals, does this guy? Goal scorer. Can score with his head, can score with his feet. I mean, he can do it all. He's a poacher. He's a straight out and out poacher. Decent frame to him. Decent age, 26, reaching his prime. Type of player again, I think would absolutely destroy the championship. And again, look at the value of 8 million. It's another player in that range that I think we could get a striker from within that range. You know, that kind of £5 to £10 million or euros. You can get some good players in there, and this is proof of that just by going to different leagues that aren't just the Bundesliga or France. You know, finding these gems in there, there's potential. But with the goals he's got in Europe as well, I'd imagine this one will be quite difficult to pull off. This is why it's in difficult, unrealistic. This is why it's in ambitious for that reason. And the final one, and you all know it is, you all know who's coming. Let's just copy and paste his name in. You got it. Victor Gyökeres. Now, the reason this one's unrealistic, as we can see, look, 46 appearances this season, 21 goals and 10 assists. Goal in the FA Cup as well. This one will be very hard because I imagine there'll be a lot of Premier League teams wanting this guy. And you see the value there is at 8 million. Best believe that'll be doubled or more. Definitely. 24 years of age. He's absolutely tore up the championship this year. Again, plays mainly up front, can play out wide, but he's predominantly a striker. That's his best position for me. And his value, as you can see, recently has shot up. Really good player. And again, would be that statement signing. If we could pull something like this off, 21 goals in 46 games with 10 assists, there's real potential there. And the reason I put the other guy in, what's his name? Van Hooijdonk. I chose the hardest names. Is because he's a similar style to this guy. He's big, but he can play with his feet. He can hold the ball up. He can get assists. Similar value as well. Although this guy Chris will be more. That's what I mean. There's other options. You know, you go for the expensive options. There's options under there that could do the job as well, maybe just as well. So that's hit. And obviously, we know this guy would be insane for us. If we got him, that would be a real statement. That will be difficult because he's has an outstanding season. But there's other options there. And from these selections, there's a lot more you could choose from. This is just what I've experienced from watching this season. There's a lot more players, but I'm not sure the pull of the championship to a lot of them. So I've left loads out. If there's more that you guys think we should get, please let me know. That's what I want to do this for. I'll do this video. I'm going to go on to the wingers next. So they're my ambitious ones, but I'm going to go on to the wingers next. And then the next video is going to be the midfielders and defenders. We'll get on to the wingers now, and we'll start with realistic. You are seeing this right. Jack Clark. The reason I've done this is because Sunderland have been on Sky a lot this year. And like I said, the Championship got me through my uni work. It was always on. I've watched him a lot. And he has improved a lot as a player since he was at Leeds. He now understands his role better. He understands when to pass. He understands when to dribble with the ball. His end product, as you can see, is there. 20 goal involvements in 45 games in the Championship with a 96% starting 11 is very impressive. I think he would come back to Leeds. He was at the game, obviously. He's a Leeds fan. He was at the game the other day, our relegation game. He was there. Still cares about the club. I think, and this is going on, obviously, if you lose Nonto and Somerville, of course, I think Jack Clark, as he's proven here, I think he got like third most assists in the league or something like that. He did really well. He had a brilliant season, guys. I would go back there. I think he's a very talented player. 100% I would. So that is my realistic. And at the value of that, I think you could get maybe 10 million-ish. And if you do sell Nonto or Somerville, there's the money for it. 22 years, he's still young. I think that's a real position that we could get Villa with Jack Clark. Serious. Let me know what you guys think on that one. Played really well this year. I've watched a lot of him. Probably the most on this entire list, to be fair. He's been really good this year. The next guy, Facundo Pellistri. Now, forget the badge, all right? We're talking about recruitment here. We're talking about players. All right, I know a lot of you guys. But at the end of the day, this is where we have to look. This is the thing with this guy is, I think he's been in kind of limbo this year. As you can see, he's made starts, but not a lot in the Premier League. But he's not been on loan. He's also not been in the youth squads. So he's not played a lot of football. Now, again, I don't know a lot about him, but I know a little bit. He is very talented. He's a very talented young player. He's made some appearances across all competitions in the Europa League. He's the type of person like Diallo did. He went to Sunderland this year. Lee Street is the type of person for me who's ready for that high Championship loan. As a loan player on that right wing, I think he's a genuine guy who we could look to get. Just like Diallo, who absolutely tore up the Championship this year. Lee Street is an option for me. I think this as a loan would be really good. Again, depending on who you have there as a winger, but as a loan, Pellistri for me is definitely someone you could get. So that's my loan, and there's more coming. There's a lot of loan wingers, I'll say that. That is one of them. This is the next guy. Simon Adingara. So last season, he was on loan in the Belgian league. 9 assists and 11 goals. 21-year-old, very young. So he was actually on loan from Brighton. He's a Brighton player. Now, again, my thoughts with Brighton are the type of team who don't necessarily let players leave a long time. If they're on loan, they'll do it a season, then they'll judge whether they're good enough or not. So I think there's potentially he could be in the Brighton squad because he's had a good season on loan. Having said that, there's also potential that they want to, again, get a full season out of him in a competitive league. And to get a player of this quality, if he's recruited by Brighton, his likelihood is he's going to be good. Get a player of this quality in the Championship on loan, on the wing, for me, again, like I've said, will be a really good coup. That's something to discuss with Brighton. That depends where Brighton are at in their recruitment and where he's at with Brighton. That would all depend. But yeah, I've liked the little I've seen of him this year. I think he's a really good player, really quick, really direct, and clearly has end product. So Simon Adingara, definitely a player to watch. Having said that, I do believe as well that he might stay at Brighton. Let's see. Now, the rest of the loans, I live in Manchester, right? I know. I go to uni there, so allow it. It's fine. These guys, I've watched a lot of. I've been to the stadium, the youth stadium, where the under 21s play, the under 19s play for Manchester City a few times this year. And there's 3 or 4 players in that team that I think are ready for a loan in the Championship and will absolutely tear it up. And here they are. First one, it's Carlos Borges or Carlos Borges, whichever way you want to say it. I know this is Premier League 2, but look at the levels. This is the first league of Premier League 2. He scored 21 goals and 11 assists. This guy is ready to play first team football. And what we've seen with Man City players, when they go on loan, they often do well. James McAtee is a big example of that. He did decent at Sheffield United last year. Again, he's a wing option for Leeds. There's a lot of wing options. This is my point. If we're losing Jack Harrison and we could also lose Somerville and Nonto, we have to bolster in that area. We have nothing. So there's some real options here on the wing. And Carlos Borges is that guy. And there's a few more coming, but this guy is, he's so good. Whenever I've watched him, really good player. Ready for the Championship, in my opinion. He is full of talent, believe me. Real good player. Man City player as well, 19 years old. Season in the Championship would really benefit him and the team he's at. I guarantee that. Now we're on to his teammate in that league, in the same team as him, Mebude, I can't speak. Mebude, who, again, I've seen these guys this year a little bit from going to the stadium and watching the youth teams. Yeah, another really good player. Similar attributes to the other guy, Borges. Similar attributes to Borges. Again, they're the stats. 11 goals, 13 assists. These guys are now at 19, going up to 20, are ready to make Championship loans. And if we can capture one of them, I think there's real potential that they could explode in the Championship. And that's another guy. And there's one more from the City youth squad, which I want to show in this petition. And for me, this is the guy that I've been most impressed with this season. But that will wait because he's attacking midfielder. So I'm going to wait with that one. So, and here we are with the last guy. Gift Orban. We were actually linked with this guy a few months ago. If we stayed in Premier League. So it's one of them. Again, this is unrealistic. This is an unrealistic one that I've got. You never know. You know, he really burst on the scene. He started late in the season, but he got 10 appearances, 9 goals, 2 assists. Look at the same in the Europa League as well, the Conference League. 6 appearances, 5 goals. And they're in the playoffs. 5 appearances, 6 goals. He's on a goal a game. He's 20 years old. But this one will probably not be the one we get. I believe he's probably too higher up now. He'll probably go to a Premier League side. Maybe you could get him on loan from a Premier League side. If he does go there, maybe they'll play him. I don't know. It depends, doesn't it? But he would be an outstanding player. I put him on winger for some reason, but he's a striker. So thinking that he can play the wing, but he's a better striker. So this is more of a striker option. But there he is. Gift Orban, who we were linked with. So there's still that connection potentially. Maybe it's an auto guy. I don't know. A really good player. Really good player. But probably out of our range. But that's why he's in the unrealistic, ambitious section. Now, let's get on to the attacking midfielders. Now, this one's important. The first realistic signing I've gone with in attacking midfielder is Elias Chair. Now, again, I've watched the Championship this year. Yeah, no, I actually watched the Championship. We're in it now, so I can't really say out. Good players in there, and Elias Chair stood out for me. In a poor QPR side, in attacking midfielder, he has that, for me, he has that cutting-edge technical quality. And I think he needs a step up from QPR, in my opinion. I think he's ready for a promotion-esque side in the Championship. 25 years old, 40 appearances, 5 goals and 9 assists in poor QPR side. He's very good. He's a very talented player. He's got great technical ability. He's great with his feet. He's got a good shot on him as well, and he can find a pass. For 10 million euros, around that value, I think it's a no-brainer. I think this could be a really good signing we could go for. A guy like this, he's proven in the Championship that he's got it. Imagine those stats, they've been flirted in a good team. So Elias Chair is the first one for me, and this one is very realistic in my opinion. And the other one is this guy we mentioned earlier, James McAtee. Now, the thing with James McAtee is obviously he's just been promoted with Sheffield United, but he's on loan there. He doesn't actually play for them. But there's potential that they could, look to keep him, right? They've got that Premier League money now. They could give City what they wanted. But they're valued at 6 million. That will obviously be inflated. But again, he got 9 goals and 3 assists. He did well in the Championship. He didn't do amazing, as you can see, starting 11. So I'd argue there's even, and I've got this in by the way, because he's at that age now, he's 20, 21. Is he going to break into that City side? I don't think so. I think if he had an incredible season this year, there's potentially could have. But it's likely that Sheffield United will probably go for the buy, just based on his overall potential and stuff. But yeah. If they're not willing to, and he can really have a good full season in the Championship with a team like Leeds, sky's the limit. So that will depend on other aspects, but I really think the type of player, if we play that brand of football that's attractive and fast and passing it around and movement like City play, that type of technical football, he would be a perfect player in that attacking midfield role. Maybe he can play deeper as well in central midfield, but I like him in the attacking role. Yeah, that's for me. James McAtee, great player, but that will depend on what Sheffield United and probably some other teams in the Premier League think of him, because they might go for it. I do think it's kind of realistic. I do think it is I think it's realistic. I genuinely do. So I think he had a good season in the Championship. As you can see, he didn't have an amazing one. He scored a lot of goals. He only started 47% of the time. I think he was injured a little bit. But let's see. Probably not, but let's see. Now, the guy I spoke about earlier was this guy right here, Oscar Bob. And this is in the loan category, by the way. So this guy, when I've seen him this year, the reserves or the 21s for Man City, has been absolutely phenomenal. He is by far the best technical player in that team. His technical ability is beyond. It is brilliant. 16 assists says that. Starting 11, 92%. Attacking midfield, 19 years old. Again, at that stage now where he'd be ready for a loan move, like McAtee was last season. And I think if we get our recruitment right, a player like this would really help, because I just think he's got that technical ability. You can mix some experience around him. We'll go watch him yourself. And obviously highlights don't show anything. I've watched him live a few times this year. Game's too easy for him at that level. He's ready for a decent Championship move, just like McAtee was for me. And Oscar Bob is the guy. Really talented player. But now we're getting into another loan, and we're up in the ante here. This is a very ambitious loan, I'll be real, the next one. Cole Palmer. Enough said. This guy is incredible. He's made 14 appearances for City, got 1 assist, so he's in the games. He comes on late. And I just think, at 21 years old now, if he can have a loan in the Championship, Cole Palmer's the type of player who could probably have a loan in the Premier League. Like I said, this one's very ambitious, but Cole Palmer is a very good player. Very good player. I don't know. But could you? There's potential. Look, he doesn't get a lot of minutes for City. He only started 5%, 10% of the minutes this season. There's potential there that he could. I could also see him going to a Premier League side, or maybe, the top tier in Germany or something like that. For me, but Pep likes to keep his players in this country on loan. I have noticed that he likes to keep them around. For me, if you can get Cole Palmer on loan, that should be one of the first things you do. I think he's an incredible player. And just think of these names. If you've got a Joe Perreault or an Akpom or a Jack Clark, and you've got a Cole Palmer playing in there, come on. This is the quality we need to go for, guys. This is what we can go for. Other teams have done stuff like this with James McAtee last year. Maybe Pep wants to keep him around. I think there's potential he will stay at City. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, let's try it. Let's see. Right? You know what I mean? But let's see with that one. But Cole Palmer. And that's it for the attackers. Let me know what you guys think. So what I'm going to do is, after this video, I'm going to have my next video, which is going to be midfielders and defenders. I'm going to then make an 11 of my favourite we should get in each position, which will be tough. But let me know what you guys think. Who do you like in... And again, there's loads of names I could have put in there, by the way. I know I've missed some, but I've thought about some. There's a lot of names, you know what I mean? I'm not going to do a list of 40 people. That's what I've narrowed it down to. Let me know what you guys think. Who have I missed? Who have I not put in there? Who you think could? I know there's a lot of names. There's a lot. Believe me, I've been through them. But yeah, what do you guys think? Who out of those guys do you think you'd like to see? I'd advise some of the guys in Belgium and Holland to just go look at them. Some of them are really impressive players. Maybe some risks in there, but for me, the level, as you can see from this, is high. I've gone for players who have proven they can score goals, proven to get assists, have performed at a high level, and then young players that are at good clubs like Manchester City. And it is very Manchester City centred because, again, that's what I know, that's what I've come through, right? So that's my experience. But let me know what you guys think. I'm excited to see what you guys think on this one. There's good names in there, but we have to be ambitious. We have to be really ambitious. But yeah, that's all I've got for this one. I'll be back with a midfielder, like central midfielder, defensive midfielder, and a defenders one, and a goalkeeper, obviously. And then I'm obviously going to do a manager one in the future as well, in a few days potentially. But let me know what you guys think about this one. I appreciate the support as usual. Also, I didn't even mention, thank you for 500 subscribers. Mental, by the way. Keep going because it's mental. Yeah, I appreciate the support. Let me know what you guys think. And